Hugh is here from the East Coast. He comes in early, stays late, and coaches and takes probably 70 private appointments himself. He leads our whole team on this. But I would like you, as he comes up with all the service that he gives you, to give him such a standing welcome and ovation that his wife will hear the thunder all the way to their home in the Northeast. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the faculty integrity team, Mr. Hugh Ballou on high performance team.
Yay! Clap, 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 clap. Feet on the floor, straight up. Imagine yourself as part of a grand massed choir. You're waiting for the conductor to arrive. The conductor arrives. You know Amazing Grace? Sing it with me. Amen. All right, let's ramp it up. Let's do it again. You got your note? Let's watch the difference. Amen. One more time. Fingers on lips and have a seat. Was there ever a doubt, any moment, what you were supposed to do? You've been part of a team, and maybe you had some doubt about what you were supposed to do. As a conductor, we can't afford for you not to know what to do. This penguin suit I'm wearing is to represent the conductor that I spent my life doing for 40 years. We get immediate results. We're judged immediately on our leadership skill. So the conductor represents leadership skill. People used to say to me when I left 40 years of conducting, well, you're a conductor, what do you know about leadership? And so I got smart and I said to them, I am a conductor. I know about leadership. So look at my bullet points up on the screen. We focus on outcomes. We're going to talk about outcomes today, results. We have a 2-hour rehearsal. I've hired some of the most famous orchestras in the world and had them work with my choirs, and we have performed great masterworks. They're paid by the minute. They're union musicians. They're, okay, dare me. So we have to be prepared. So I'm going to give you my principles of leadership. We're focused on outcomes. The union gives you 2 hours. You got to have results. So we have to plan for results. And what they see is what I get. So if I'm sloppy with my leadership, I'm going to get sloppy music making. And if I let mediocre playing happen, then that's me. I'm going to let it happen. I'm mediocre as a leader. So I'm not going to let mediocrity stand. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about your personal leadership skills. And we're going to talk about systems that engage teams. Now, there's a system with an orchestra or choir. There's a culture. They expect excellence. They have a culture. I give a downbeat. They know what to do because I've created the culture of excellence. That's a system. So we think of leadership in terms of a skill. It is. We forget that leadership is also a system. So we're going to talk about leadership as a skill and as a system. And we're going to talk about your team. Now, look around the room. There's a lot of potential here. And we don't know how to ask for what's going to help us. So we're going to work on how to ask for what we need. Creating powerful goals so the team knows what you're doing, your clear vision, your clear goals. They can be active if they know where you're going. And then we don't know how to ask people. Do you know how to ask people? You know how to, you're learning how to do your snap, but people come up to me and say, I got a team. You don't want to be on my team, do you? That's inspiring. So we're going to work on your language. How can you make a compelling statement that people say, I want to be on your team? Let's go. I'm ready to start. So we're going to work on our language, and the biggest killer of teams is boring, unproductive meetings. We're going to talk about how to conduct power-packed meetings. Anybody ever attended a boring, unproductive meeting? Anybody think that's a stupid question? Here's some notes for taking notes. Here, don't copy the slides. You can download these slides from CEO Space, so don't just be copying the slides. Think of the concept that we're talking about. Learn the concept, take action notes. This is something I got to do. I'm thinking of somebody I need to talk to, or here's a skill set I need to think about. Capture the concept, define what you're going to do next. Is that a deal? You've got a handout. I'm going to jump around on that. There's some key things for you to talk about. My principles of leadership are on there. And those fundamental principles, if you can master those, you can lead any group anywhere. Those are foundational principles. If you can learn how to recruit people, you can get the best team available. And if you can manage meetings, you can empower people to change your life. You can make this business happen. Here's some questions to ask yourself. What is my dream? You're going to translate that into a vision for your business. So ask yourself, what is my dream? I'm surprised at how many people I ask, what is your dream? What is the vision for what you're doing? And they really cannot articulate it. There's power in being able to put the right words together and make a power statement. Did you hear Bob Proctor yesterday? Okay, everything he talked about is fundamental. He talked about sales. Those are all fundamental leadership principles. And David Gruder's class on Tuesday, everything there, the integrity class, it's about leadership. So everything you learn in those two classes comes forward. Everything I ever learned in music, I always use. Key signatures, rhythm. Everything I ever learned in music, I always use. Everything you learn in leadership, you will have at your disposal because you will need it at one time or another one. How does your vision define your team? If you're doing a product, if you're doing a high-tech project, that's a very different team than if you're launching a book or a speaking career. So be very clear about your vision. That defines who you're going to need on your team. And how will you engage your team? We had a good conversation at my table this week about the word engage. Engage, it means people buy in. It means they're active. It means they're taking charge of something you've delegated to them. Engagement is the secret. I constantly talk to leaders in lots of fields, and they say, I wish my team would do more. And it's not so hard. So we'll talk about that. And how many people believe you're going to succeed? Raise your hand. If I said to you, are you going to succeed? And you say, I believe so. Puts a different twist on it, doesn't it? That was a trick question. We're going to go from believing you're going to succeed to knowing you're going to succeed, because you're going to build your goals. You're going to build your strategies. You're going to build your team. And so you're going to go from thinking, I wish I could succeed, I believe I'm going to succeed, to I am sure and I know that I'm going to succeed. And gaps. We sometimes think we have to do it all. You've got a skill set. You've got a gift for something. You're not good at everything. I'm not good at everything. That's called delegation. Leadership is called fill in the gaps. So part of looking for your team is to inventory your own skills and your own talents and to bring in people that have complementing talents. There's people in the room that have a good vision. They've got a great project. They're going to get somebody to run the company for them. It's still their business. It's still their dream. But they're going to define what it looks like and how it's going to work and find the person that fills the gap, that really likes the administrative stuff, that really likes to implement this plan. Leadership problems. Well, you know, things change and it's unpredictable. So there's not a textbook that takes you through life sequentially. There's a lot of tools and strategies. I'll give you lots of tools and strategies, but we got to pay attention. We got to make some important decisions. And so one challenge is there's change, and it's constant, and it's unpredictable. And you're doing something nobody's ever done before. So we got to pay attention. New things, build a skill set. we have to learn to set a very clear vision. I cannot tell you how many leaders I work with and ask them what their vision is, ask them what their goals are. And they say, well, it's in my head. It's not clear. It's not written down. Team members are not engaged. We talked about that. There's no culture of collaboration. Big business wastes a lot of money because people do this, people do this, people do this. It's called siloing. They don't collaborate. They waste time. If they collaborated, they could do 2.5 times the amount of work, have more fun, and have some extra time left over. So we understand the cooperative spirit, don't we? We understand, work with me a little bit. We understand the cooperation spirit, don't we? Yes, thank you. And your team members are not tied to your vision. They've sort of got their own vision. So we're going to recruit high-performance teams. So invest in your skills first. I find people charging out and doing stuff and doing all kind of stuff. And I said, have you worked on your skill set? Well, I don't have a team. I don't have a lot of people yet. I said, well, you're talking to people. There's formal teams. There's informal teams. There's your advisory team that you're going to get here that's going to help you build your dream, going to help you define your next steps. That's a team. Anytime you engage somebody in conversation, you come to a meal table, that's a team. Leadership skills are primary. Work on your skill set. So I say to people, you're doing something nobody's ever done, and you're not working on your own skills? Tell me that makes sense. So build up your skills first. Define your vision, develop powerful goals, create accountable teams that are effective, and empower and engage those teams. So what defines leadership? I like things as simple. Remember Einstein said, make things as simple as possible, but no simpler? So there's all kinds of theories, all kinds of definitions of what leadership is. I think leadership is very, very succinctly defined. Leaders are people who make things happen. Leaders are people who know how things happen. Leaders are people who influence others. Leaders are people who can clearly articulate a vision, and people who can engage others. I'm going to talk to you about transformational leadership. You're transforming an idea into a vision. You're into reality. It's your vision. You're transforming it into reality. So besides being the active transformation, leadership style of transformation is over here. Over here you have autocratic, charismatic leader. It's about me. It's about I'm in charge. I'm going to boss everybody. Over here we have the transformational leader. It's about the vision. It's about building teams. It's about building leaders on your teams. It's about not doing it all. So we're going to talk about this as a style of leadership. And so it defines how you're going to make decisions, how you're going to create relationships and alliances, and you're going to learn from master teachers. I'm going to give you some really, really powerful things to think about. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and there were some people who couldn't sit at Walgreens. And Martin Luther King didn't like that. And so he decided he'd be active. It wasn't until a year ago I realized my time observing and listening to Martin Luther King was so important in impacting my vision of leadership. He had a dream. He said, I have a dream. He had insurmountable obstacles. I'd see people spit on him, yell at him, curse him, hit him. He was calm. He was very focused. He knew he could make a difference. That's power of vision. That's power of conviction. And that's power of knowing that you can succeed. Vincent van Gogh was an amazing painter. In Amsterdam, if you've ever been there, there's a whole museum with Vincent van Gogh's work in it. His name's on the outside. Vincent van Gogh was brilliant in many fields, but he said, I dream my painting, and then I paint my dream. That's your goals. When I was in school, we got penalized for dreaming. It's okay here. That's where we start. We start with the dream, but we write it down. Anybody experience Jim Rohn? Jim Rohn used to talk to groups, and he'd say, only 3% of you are going to succeed. Only 3% of you are going to do what I tell you. Why? That's the law of averages. You get to decide if you're part of that 3%. I think the bar is higher here, so we might have a higher percentage. But he also said there's 3 books. If you read these 3 books, you can be successful. Was the Bible? Think and Grow Rich? Babylon. The Power of Babylon, the Tower of Babylon. Yeah, there was a Babylon he added on there. Something about, Think You Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh, and the Bible were the primary ones. He added the Babylon book in later years, you're right. But James Allen wrote this many years ago when male-dominant language was appropriate. We can translate that in our minds. But he said, a man does not attract what he needs, a man attracts what he is. So we don't attract what we need, we attract what we are. You ever notice people who are failures, who are negative, who complain about everything else, attract people like that? Clement Stone, who was one of Napoleon Hill's champions early on, it said that you become like the people that you associate with. So if you're positive, if you're skilled, if you're professional, if you are convinced that you're going to succeed, you will attract that kind of person to you. So James Allen, that little book is easy to read, doesn't take much time. There's lots of meat in it. So there's a translation that's As a Woman Thinketh as well. Napoleon Hill went to interview Andrew Carnegie to write an article. And Andrew Carnegie said to him, I'll introduce you to the most important, successful people in America if you'll work for me for a year with no money. He thought about it and he says, I will, with enthusiasm. He didn't know that Carnegie had a stopwatch under the table. And he had 2 minutes to answer. People had taken 3 hours to 3 days to answer, and Carnegie had withdrawn the offer. So Napoleon Hill knew that people were successful because they believed they could succeed. And one of the people he interviewed was Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison took him 10,000 times, 10,000 tries to invent the light bulb. But Thomas Edison said, he didn't consider that failure. He said, I found 9,999 things that don't work. So Napoleon Hill said, in every failure, there's a seed of a future success. So those are people who influenced me because they were powerful in their leadership skills and their ability to visualize and to clearly capture. Napoleon Hill also discovered that the people that were successful did not have negative thoughts. And he discovered that people could not hold a negative and a positive thought in your mind at the same time. And people who were successful had a positive image they brought into their mind. And so that's harder to do than it seems, but if you do it and you do it and you do it, you can take those negative thoughts out of your mind because you can bring that picture, that vision, that dream my painting, paint my dream right into your brain to inspire you. Let me tell you what the traits of a transformational leader are. If you develop a culture when it's just you understand this style of leadership, and you build this into your DNA, you understand it, when you bring people on, you teach them, it's scalable. You can scale a unified philosophy of leadership throughout your company. So even if you're not running the company, you know what's going on. You're in charge. And you have people that are happy and fulfilled. So number one, clearly articulates the vision, the goals. Let's go of things that other people can do, especially those things that are not your gift. If it's not your gift, it's not your job. You build leaders on your teams. Some people have to be the champion of it all. You don't have to be the one that does it all. If other people on your teams are successful, that makes you look good. So let them have a success and help them be successful because it's going to make you money. We have to learn to delegate. That's harder than it seems. It means giving it away. It means clearly defining what the results are going to be. And you want people that are bold. It means they're going to make some mistakes, but encourage people to be bold. And it's okay. They'll learn from it. You learn from it. Encourage the boldness. Encourage them to be active and to help you because the variety of perspectives is going to help you grow your company because we need to think outside of our brain. You want to give them support because you not only are the holder of the vision, you are the cheerleader for the vision. Now, a transformational leader is up front and the champion and the encourager. You're the one that says, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. So you encourage boldness, encourage them to learn from their mistakes, give them information they need to succeed, and give them support. Affirm what they've done, and respect the individual. You ever work for somebody that you felt like a commodity? I'm a skill set. I'm just here because they need what I do. Respect who the individual is. That's important. Micromanaging. You ever work for somebody that said, do it this way, do this, and they want to control everything. Delegate it. If you want it done a certain way, exactly this way, then do it yourself. But if you want them to put their genius on it, let them get there. You've defined the end result, but let them get there with their skill set. I don't hire the very best oboe player for my orchestra and then tell them how to play the oboe. I set the tempo. I say, here's where we start. Here's the phrase. But I let them use their gift. And last of all, we are people who are ethical. We are people who represent what we want to see. Anybody have children? You ever see things coming from your children, you wonder, where did they learn that? Oh, it's no different when you have employees in your company. They'll do what you do. If you show up late, if you're unprepared, if you don't have a good ethical standard, if you don't treat customers right, if you're not prepared for meetings, they're going to do the same thing. So transparency, authenticity, you model what you want to see. So transparency is very, very important for a leader. And you may assume, I do, when I go to a class, somebody's teaching, I assume they're an expert on everything. They got it all down pat. Well, that ain't true. I made all the mistakes. Fortunately for you, I'm smarter than I look, so I've learned from those. So I'll teach you some things you can save some time. So I'll give you some tricks here. But the other thing is, you think it's easy just to step up here and be in front of all these smiling faces and eyes looking at you. So, I talked to a friend a while ago and says, I got to talk to this group of entrepreneurs today, and I'm nervous about it. My friend says, wait a minute. You do this all the time. What's with this being nervous? And I said, well, I'm afraid they won't like me. And my friend says, it's okay. There's already people who don't like you. So what's a few more? It's okay to say that you don't know something. It's okay to say to your team, I want to go here, and I need to work with you because you're a skilled team. I need to work with you to help figure out how we're going to get there. I was on a plane coming here, one of the forums, and one of my least favorite stops is Chicago, but I was in Chicago. And I thought, I had a couple hours, and I looked at my shoes and said, those need to be shined. So I went down this corridor, and there was this shoe shine booth, so there's nobody there. So I'm thinking, well, am I really going to get them shined? I look down the hall, and here's this middle-aged African-American man just running down the hall and says, go ahead and get in the chair. And I said, okay. And I climbed up in the chair, and he comes up. And I said, I want you to make me look professional. He says, no, can't do it, but I can make your shoes look good. And I said, I bet you're good at what you do. He says, no, I'm great at what I do. I said, this is going to be a different kind of shoe shine. So I sat up there, and he commenced to talk. And I said, well, tell me about how you work. And I said, I'm kind of interested in what you're telling me here. He says, wait, first you got to show up. If you're going to be successful, you got to be there. You got to show up, ready to work. I can tell you, people hire me. They want to learn leadership. They want to develop a business. We talk about working. We set an appointment, and they don't show up. What's with it? Show up. That's the number one rule. He said, number two, be prepared. You see these rags? I take them home every night. I wash these rags. These rags are soft. I can do the best shine possible. These other guys, they just use them over and over, and they don't do as good a job as me. So I come in, I'm prepared. And I said, you got to serve people with your heart. There's people at your tables that want to help you. They want to serve you. That's important to being a leader. You want to serve others. And show others that you care. Did you hear Sir Costa this morning? He quoted the old quote, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah, leadership's about relationship. People understand that you care about them as a person. And then he said, be great at what you do. There's no room for ordinary. We got ordinary people. Be great at what you do. So work on your skill set first. I was paying attention. I could have been sending emails or writing my speech for this forum, but I was paying attention. I gave him a $10 tip on top of the $6. I said, you should be speaking, telling people these things. He said, no, I like what I do. I bet I underestimated his income. He probably gets good tips. So he was very successful. There's two kinds of time, words in the Bible that describe time from the Greek, chronos and kairos. We're so busy putting our life in order, building our plan, which is essential for business. We've got to have a plan. We've got to have a sequence, that we forget to look for those moments of truth. It's in the Bible, God reveals a moment of truth to people, and that's a kairos moment. Anybody had a kairos moment this week where you've discovered something? You've had it. You've had it. It comes. People come here and they're so determined to get this and this and this that they don't pay attention to opportunity that comes. It's going to come. Pay attention. Keep your strategy, keep your sequence, but wait. Watch. Pay attention. When you least expect it, something's going to change your life. So I run lots of board meetings. Some of them are pretty tough. I have power players. And I got beat up a lot when I didn't learn to pay attention to what's going on in the room. And there's things that happen within the group as teams are developing their strategy. There's things that happen that build relationship, that create moments that are clarity, not only for me, but for them. As a leader of that process, if I'm not paying attention, I miss it, they miss it, and we're not as successful. So that's one thing I made a lot of mistakes on, and I'll share with you, pay attention to what's going on around you. We've already said you know that you can succeed. Change your paradigm. If you change your paradigm, you change what happens. You control what happens. There's some people that are reactive. I have to act this way because the world treats me that way. Well, your thinking dictates your results, not the other way around. You bring energy to you by your thinking. Bernie put me on stage here 2007, and he put me right here, super teaching. We're on the phone, he says, next time you're teaching super teaching, I want you to teach the best team lesson. I said, okay. What he didn't know is for 40 years, I had had my back to the audience. Got it? You just turn around and do this when the music stops. I had to learn a whole new skill set. I love it. I love seeing you engaged. I learned you're taking notes, you're taking notes. I love your smile, thank you very much. You have to turn your back on the crowd. You've got an idea that some people will say, you're doing what? You're going where? You're paying how much money? What is it? Do not let anybody steal your dream. It's your dream. Martin Luther King says, I have a dream. Nobody could take that from him. You've got a dream. Sometimes you're going to have to turn your back on the crowd. And Steve Jobs has made amazing progress. They told him, Microsoft 10 years ago, you should give back the money and close the doors. It's on the way to being the largest capitalized company in the world. They're about to take over Exxon this year. Or they could unless Exxon makes a whole lot more money. Define your idea. Learn the power of words. You're going to be successful. You're the person of influence. Learn the power of words. Create the future vision. Develop 3 goals for your next year. Now, and part of Bob Proctor's teaching in some of the books, he says write out 100 goals. That's a good principle. Write out all the things you can think of as goals. Then you can write them on, you got some index cards? You got a dining room table? Write them out. Move them around. All of these are related to money. All of these are related to administrative things or products. All of these are related to people. You can start putting them in groups. It's called clustering. And then you can start putting them in order. Then you got a whole bunch of steps. So your primary objective is definable here. Most of the time, you can take all the things you want to do, group them into 3 groups, and create 3 powerful goals for the next year. Your team's going to need to know where you want to go. They can help you modify it, rehearse what you're going to tell people, and then start sharing what you have. We keep it in our minds, and we think about it. It's time to share it with people. Now, we're going to create your dream team. Define the purpose. Somebody said to me, Dave Wallace came on faculty a couple of times ago, and he says, I want to talk to you, Hugh. How many people keep asking me to be on their teams? And by the way, people besides faculty can be on your teams. There's lots of potential here, lots of talent in these seats. He says, Hugh, how many teams are you on? And I said, none. He says, what? I said, I asked people 3 questions. They say, will you be on my team? I said, I asked 3 questions, and they can't answer any of them, so I've not said yes yet. I said, number 1, what's the purpose of your team? Number 2, what's my role? And number 3, what is it we're going to accomplish? So we're going to do some exercises in a little bit, so I want you to begin to think about what kind of team, what would be the reason to have a team? Now, one reason might be that you don't know what teams you need and you don't know the business structure, so you need somebody to help you figure that out during the forum. Here's a rule of thumb. The more people you have, the harder it is to make decisions. The more people you have, the harder it is to get anything done. The more people you have, the harder it is to get people together to have a meeting. 3 is good, 5 is good, it's plenty. You got a committee if you go too far. Create a team snap. What are the words you're going to use that are convincing? Snap is a very defined thing, but can you create a statement that's going to be compelling? Define the inventories you need. What are the skills you're going to need? We're going to drill down on that piece. Develop a hit list. Who do you want? Make a prospect list. Define who you want and go after them. Recruit people for a very specific role and a very specific responsibility. How will your team perform? Now, you're going to get a great team. You got a very clear vision. We got Jim Duggart in the back there. We got a very clear, I'm going to need a mic in a second. We got a very clear vision. So you give it to a team. You recruit good people, and it happens, right? Flawless. Right? Oh. Come here. I need 10 volunteers from over here that haven't done this. Come up front. Need 10 people. Come on up front. I want you to stand on both sides of this pole. One side and the other side. And I want 10 people from this group over here with Jim Duggart. Jim, why don't you pull the pole out a little bit, please? That works. Tell you what, I'm going to move this out where people can see. Would you back up just a hair? All right, get on both sides of the pole right there. Toes pointing to the pole. 10 people. Do I have 10? I don't have 10. Come on. There's 9. Oh, since when did you decide to be bashful? You're an entrepreneur. You're conquering the world. Come on up. This is not going to hurt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now, your job's to observe. This is going to be a team exercise. So I want you to observe what goes on. Jim, you ready? You need 2 more people. 1. All right. Here's the first rule. I want you to point both your index fingers across to the person across from you. All right? Now point your thumb toward the ceiling. All right, put your fingers, don't be touching. It's not that exercise. Some people. All right, you put your fingers next to them. Come on up close, next to them. Don't touch, don't touch. Okay. Now here's rule number 1. Your finger must always be parallel with the ground. Your thumb must always point to the ceiling. Jim, you ready? All right, now we're going to put the pole in your fingers. You must always touch the pole from the bottom. You must always touch the pole from the bottom, and you cannot touch it from the top. You must lower the pole to the ground. Always touch it from the bottom. Always touch the pole. This isn't hard. Touch the pole. Now watch what happens in here. Your instructions are to lower the pole to the ground. Lower the pole to the ground. Lower the pole to the ground. Now, does this remind you of you ever been to a church committee meeting or some community school meeting or something? You ever seen a team function like this? You give them a task, and there's some, be sure you touch the pole from the, you're not touching the pole. You touching the pole. Make sure you touch it. You're not touching the pole. Touch the pole. It's an easy task. It's one directive. It's only a few rules. Are you laughing? Now they're pretty coordinated. Look over here. I think they're in a frozen pose. Okay, lower the pole to the ground. Be sure you touch the pole. Lower the pole to the ground. Let's see what's happening over here. Ah! They don't know if they're done or not. All right, just stand where you are, please. Just stay where you are and watch this team. They went back up. What's going on here? What's going on here? I could have given them something difficult. Okay, I'm getting seasick. All right, just stay here. Just stay here. Come here. Look at those good people out there. Put your fingers out. Put your fingers out. Okay, I want you to lower this pole to the ground. Ready? Go. right, we took a task that was easy for one person, and we gave it to a team, and it suddenly became difficult. So tell me, we got a microphone up here? Tell me, what were some of the things that happened in the process here? What happened in the process?
It appeared that we weren't coordinated, so I was trying to get people coordinated to go down, but it just got uncoordinated.
What else happened in the group? Turn around.
Some people didn't follow the directions.
Yeah.
Some people what?
Didn't follow the directions.
You mean they cheated?
They cheated.
Oh. What else? What happened over here? What happened? She's got the microphone. Tell them what happened.
One end went slower than the other, and then we started counting. 3, 1, 2, 3. We got a little beat going, and we finally got to the bottom.
Who counted? Oh, somebody took charge. Oh, that's a novel thought.
Okay,
Chaos happened. Yes, sir.
What I noticed is that people were pushing it up. And with their fingers, they were pushing it up instead of letting the pole just come down and work with the group. So that's what I noticed.
So you weren't working together?
We were not working together, no.
Okay, tell me what the failure in leadership was. Tell me what the failure in leadership, hold the mic. What was the failure in leadership in your group?
I guess probably someone taking control and communication.
Communication, okay.
You didn't have a defined leader from the beginning.
Ah, you did not have a defined leader. What was another failure in leadership over here?
Communicating it well. Communicating the team with the vision.
We didn't have a good execution plan.
Yes, we didn't agree upon how we were going to do it. Everybody was doing it their own way and saying to the other, no, keep it down, put it down, put it down.
Failure in leadership was mine. The failure in leadership was mine. I said, ready, aim, fire, aim. I said, here's the goal, go for it. Let's give these, we don't have time for applause plural, but we have time for applause singular as they go to their seat. Ready, and yes! You have to be coordinated to do that. The failure in leadership was mine. They were so focused on the rules that they could not get themselves organized. I gave them no time to prepare, no time to construct a sequence, no time to build their team. Have you ever been part of a team like that? Let's go, let's get this done. Well, my friend Ed Bogle, who's putting words on the screen back there, has a saying, go fast, slow. Build your foundation, be very careful about what you plan. I have to watch what Ed puts up there. He might put some bad words up there. He's paying attention, he's putting things out there so you can get another perspective on what I'm talking about. We need to give people a chance to get ready for success. Now, if you notice when we sang, I gave you a lot of information in a split second. That's called, in music, that's called a preparation. You knew when to breathe. You knew if it was loud. We did it loud. We did it soft. You responded to what I did. And you knew how fast it was. I gave you all of that in a very succinct form. We as leaders confuse people because we do not give them very specific information. So kinds of teams that we're going to recruit. Your power team you're going to recruit this week. You're going to sit before you go home. I'm telling you like I'm ordering you. If you want to be successful, get your team. Let's solve a problem. Get your team, meet with them before you leave. Make arrangements to build a high-performance team between now and the next forum. Bernie told you about the person I met. I had this group in Germany that had this, his numbers were a little off, the World Choir Games. He said it was 15 million impact. It's going to Cincinnati, it's 30 million impact. And it's not 25, it's 600,000 spectators, and it's 400 choirs, 20,000 singers. That's a big deal. In no American city, as Americans, we didn't see it. It was outside of our country. We got blinders on. So I needed somebody to broker that bidding process. Friday night, I sat at a table just around the corner because Friday night's a good time to get your teams together because there's no signs on the tables. You can get your teams. I was trying to be quiet, and this lady sat beside me and said, I've been trying to see you all week. I book hotel rooms. I do bidding. If I hadn't been there, this saved my life. This created the biggest event for America. So I've come 5 times a year because there's something that benefits me, and I add somebody to my informal team. So sometimes we're going to need an advisory team. we're going to need a board of directors. Be careful as you build your board of directors. That's a very official group. You want to make sure that you've put the right people on your board. An advisory team is a good way to try people out. We need to know how people are going to function under pressure. You need to know if people are ethical, if they're going to do what they say they're going to do, if they're going to show up on time, if they're going to perform to the standards that you want. Advisory team is a great way to build a relationship. It's a good way to check out people. You're not going to have a board that you can pay until you're in revenue and you're in profit for a period of time. So we're going to build some systems in between to be able to move forward, get the best thinking skills from the best people, and for you to build your long-term permanent team. Your working team, that's your staff, your board team. So your team snap I referred to as a call to action. How are you going to create a compelling word, a statement that's going to say, this is important. Your place in this is important. Your contribution is going to impact my business and impact people's lives. Do not be afraid to drill down for those words that are powerful. Rehearse it. Get in front of a mirror. It's a very humbling experience. Get in front of a mirror and rehearse your presentation. Do you realize, now I said words are very powerful. They're important. The right choice of words will block, the wrong choice will block you. The right choice will open up their mind to possibilities. The words are 7%. In recent studies, it's shown to be 7% of the communication. 7%. 55% is in your facial expression. And so we're thinking they aren't going to buy, they're not going to be on the team, and you've got this sour expression, and you're trying to create powerful words, and you're giving them a negative expression. It kills it. 37% is in your inflection, in your mannerisms, and the rest of the communication. So we send emails to people, and we put things down, and we expect them to get it. Remember, words are 7% of the communication. If it's important, see them in person. If it's important for somebody to be on your team, see them in person, at least talk to them on the phone. Don't do it by email. Rehearse it, work on your hit list, recruit now, schedule a meeting, even if you've only got 2 people. Who has an accountability partner that you got with David Gruder's class on Tuesday? Did you get an accountability partner? You can use the same, David's given us permission to use the same accountability partner. If you're going to recruit a team, report to them tomorrow. I've got 2 team members. People want to get see me cards, people that want to help them. They get a whole stack of cards. I've got some. Remember, transparency is a leader. We take them home. We're tired. We put them down on the desk, and a week later we think, oh, man, it's a big list. You put it away. A week later, you start calling a couple of people. Well, they forgot what they said. It's cold. See them here. Have an appointment. Schedule an appointment when you get home. So do it as soon as you can. Get the right team. Now that, my friends, you know what that is? That's a conductor score for an orchestra with a choir. Now, it's scary. You look down this score, and you got all these instruments. Now, we don't just get to go down here and look at this. All this goes by at once. It goes left to right, whoosh. And so when we step on the podium, we got to know what's going on. But this is like your strategic plan for your business. Everything you need to know is here. It's the framework for everything that's happening. And there's a very important hierarchy. Who is here where? So this sort of represents your team. It's a very complex system, but if you've studied it, you understand it. If you step up to direct a rehearsal or concert, you've studied it, you know exactly what's going on. You can't make it up. So you're creating your orchestra, and we're going to have lots of different personalities. Now, at the top here, you got the woodwinds. Flutes, oboes, clarinets. You've got a clarinet here. Now, clarinet plays a C, but when it sounds at a B flat. You got some people, when you tell them something, it comes back different. They frame it differently. That's like the clarinet. They play the C, but it's a B flat. So it has to be written differently. They play a D, so it sounds like a C. So the conductor has to make that transposition. So a good clarinet's a very nice sound, but you ever heard a student playing a clarinet and there's all kind of honking? And that justifies the old joke of what's the difference in a clarinet and an onion? Nobody cries when you cut up a clarinet. There are certain personalities. So you're gonna have people that are woodwinds, they transpose, they have different color. A lot of color in the sound, a lot of different colors. The bassoon, big long thing. Contrabassoon, it's like a boa constrictor, you know, around some little woman trying to play it. Then you got the brass. My friend Peter Biotish is in the back. He's a gifted trumpet player. After I told us the first time, he came up and says, "My name's Peter, and by the way, I'm a trumpet player." Trumpet player transposes down a step. French horn is that curly thing. Very distinctive sound. It plays backwards in the orchestra. It's a distant sound. It plays a fifth down. Very different perspectives. Brass players, brass is kind of brassy. There's different personalities go with brass. So the old joke about the trumpet player, what does the trumpet player use for birth control? Personality. Then you got in the middle, you got the organ, you got the percussion, you got the choir, so percussion. You got the triangle player has to sit there for 137 bars, and at the right moment, they have to play that note, ding. If they're wrong, it's not going to be good. They've got to wait, and at the precise moment, this one little instrument sounds above the whole orchestra, and with precision, they go, ding. What if they're wrong? What if they weren't paying attention? There's people on your teams that'll be thinking deeply. There are people that will be moving fast. The violins are going fast. They're doing all this stuff. There are bonuses like the choir and the orchestra. There's different gifts that people bring. And you got all these strings down there, lots of them playing. So we'll skip the jokes, but there's different personalities, there's different gifts. So you want diversity on your team. So go for diversity. There's the instruments. All right, I think you have this in your handout. It's a team resource list. This will be helpful for you. Sorting out things. On the left, you can number 1 to 20. That's to list the different skills that you're going to need. So if you're going to go get a team, what's a typical skill you might look for? Just call one out. What is it? What about technology? Any more specific? Social networking. What's another skill set? Accounting. Financial responsibility. Legal. Sales, marketing. What is it? Sequencing. How about writing skills? Somebody's good at writing press releases. Somebody's good at writing copy for your website. Somebody's good at writing communications. How about somebody that's really good at putting up process and administrative things? So what you want to do is make a list down the left-hand side of the skill that you need. So number 1 to 20, and I've made a sort of a, I didn't do 20 because it gets too little on the screen there. But down the left-hand start, and we're going to go around to the left. And I want you to do, you're going to have your time, and your number 1, you're going to state what your business is about. This is what it is. If you come to my table, I'll ask you to do it in 1 sentence. So you need to be concise. Remember Mark Twain's story? He wrote his friend this long letter. At the end, he said, "I'm sorry it's such a long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one." So think about how you can be brief with your words. So define what it is, and if you know what team you want, say, "I'm looking for an advisory team and I need the following skills." Who do you know? So collect names from your list. So I'll say stop, and I'll say the next person, and the next person has a chance. So this is to network for names of possible people that your group can help you think of that's going to help you resource your team during the forum so that you can move to the next place. Are you clear? You got 2 things you're going to do. You're going to say, "This is my business, and this is the team I'm forming," or "I don't know what team," so that your groups can say, "You need an advisory team, and here's the people that can help you." And number 2, you're going to say, "I need the following skills. Who do you know?" So you want to resource for names. I have a question up here. Did I answer it? We're good? All right, person that's starting has got their back here. All right. And when I'm going to give a countdown, and when I say stop, be quiet, and then we'll go to the next person. Ready? Go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Now, this exercise is to give you an idea of how to network for names. We're going to go to the next person on the left. You're going to continue doing this after the class, right? So this is an idea of how you can network and build your team. The next person on the left, state your purpose, your team, and ask for names. Ready, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go back to your seats, please. There are people around your meal tables around this room that are aching to help you. They've got some resources. They want to help you. What you need to do is put a specific request together. I said at the beginning, now, you're going to complete that list. If you got 2 people, you can have a team meeting. You and 2 more people is a great team. Help me figure this out. I need to figure out this before I go home. I need to figure out what kind of team I need. Do not feel like you've got, some lady was at my breakfast table this morning with a great project, great skills. She said, I'm like a fish out of water. I don't know about business. Well, so what? You've got people here that do. So fill your gaps with people that know the things you don't know. You're a subject matter expert. You don't need to know everything. Get the right people on your team. So have a meeting with these people tomorrow. You can have it at dinner time because it's open seating. Meet with these people. Make it happen. Find a time and do it. You can sleep when you get home. So this is your action, your call to action. How many people are committed to getting a team around the circle and meeting this week before you go home? Okay, when you see me in the hall, tell me you've done it. I got my team, we're going to have a meeting. If you need some extra coaching, find me. Power pack meetings. The team killer is bad meetings. Here's the rule number 1. Never ever use an agenda. What? My mom taught me to use an agenda. Never ever use an agenda. Agenda means activity. I've got plenty of activity in my life. I don't need more. I want results. So you do deliverables. You plan backwards, like Covey says, in the Habits of 7 Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind. We want to define an agenda item as we want to talk about marketing. Deliverable is we're going to define the top 5 marketing strategies for the next year. See the difference? It's a paradigm shift. You have to think about this. You have to think, we want to achieve this. So you plan backwards. So you prioritize what's the most important thing. You ask hard questions and you listen. God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen louder than you talk. Ask good questions, listen to the results. Record the results. Get somebody to be a recorder, not you. Record the results, share them with the group. Stay focused. We said what we're going to do. We're not going to drift. We're going to do these things. Be very intentional about facilitating the process. Define the actions and accountabilities. If people say, I'm going to do that for you, say, when can you tell me? Set a date and an action. We're going to do this. What's the date? Most of the things, when you go home, you're going to establish your high-performance team. They're going to work with you between now and the next forum. They're going to help you make progress. So when you come back, you're a different business. You're ready to go to the next stage with your business. The most work that you get is between meetings. The meetings are to report on what you're doing, to make important decisions, and set priorities for the next steps. So define what you want to accomplish between meetings. You're the leader. You're not going to do it all. You're going to check in. Somebody says they're going to make a contact. They're going to write a letter. They're going to help you do something. Find a way to check in between meetings. Check in, see if they need help. Sometimes people forget they need a little reminder. Focus on actions, report on results, define the key next steps. This is what we're going to do. Here's the results. I need help here. Let's fine-tune what happened. Let's define what comes next. Got it? Be intentional about what you want to accomplish. You'll have ongoing teams. You'll probably always have an advisory team or a marketing team. You'll build a board of directors. That's a careful process. You're going to have employees. You're going to work with consultants. You're going to develop affiliates and JV partners. Doesn't it make sense you want to study leadership? There's a lot of wisdom out there to learn from. Build your leadership skills. Study leaders who have been there. Always have a coach. That's an accountability partner. There's a weekly call. You got to show up. You said you were going to do things. Zig Ziglar says it wasn't for the last minute, we wouldn't get a lot of things done. So always have a coach. Learn how to express yourself in terms of goals and action plans. The goal is where you're going. Action plan is how you're going to get there, step by step. We write big goals. Share your goals. Share your goals and be accountable. I'm going to give you my 4 leadership principles come from conducting. The first one is know the score. Let me tell you about what that means. Know the score. I showed you a score. We step on the podium. We have to know the results we want. I see corporate leaders of important companies winging it in meetings. They got a yellow pad and they're writing one step ahead. How in the world? You got important work, you got really knowledgeable people, and you haven't planned for results. It takes you twice as long to plan a meeting than it does to conduct it. So it's your vision. Nobody can do it for you. You know what you value, you know what you want to achieve, so you have to do it. This is the foundation for your company. 9 out of 10 people I work with cannot define what they value, what their core values are, or their vision and mission for their company. We have great strategic planners sit at their table, meet with them at the expo, talk about the framework for grand strategy for your company. You need a framework to run a business. The Michael Gerber, E-Myth books, talks about the difference between having a product or building a business, working in your business or working on your business. It's a big paradigm shift. You need accountability partners. You need partners who are going to help you rise above the level where you are. So you're going to build your systems. Understand goal setting. Goals are smart. Goals are important. It's a dream until you write it down. What does SMART goal mean? What is S? Oop. What is M? What is M? What is A? Oh, we have a difference of opinion. Now, traditionally, it's achievable, and R is realistic, and those are too close. And I grew up Scottish Presbyterian, so I didn't want to waste a letter. They're too close. So A for me is where you share it and you're accountable. We're afraid to share it. But once you share it, you've got a partner. Be accountable. Share your goals. So A is for accountability. Don't make it a secret. Realistic and timed. When is it going to happen? I will, if you download the slideshow, this goals worksheet, it talks about what your goal is, when you're going to meet it, who you need. There's a list of resources of who you need. There's also a list of obstacles. Now, I told you about thinking positive thoughts. Why am I saying putting obstacles? There are reasons you're not going to make the goal. Record them. Recording them, identifying them is the first step to conquering them. Record the obstacles, develop a way past that obstacle. And then here's 2 reasons goals work. Besides writing them down, that's number 1. Share them to be accountable. Define what the value it brings to you and your business. Define why it's important. The WSGAT that Bob Sarcosta talked about. What's so important about this goal? Meeting the goal is important. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is what happens to you and your company. Identify your top 3 goals. And if you have them, you could probably share them this week. Second one is, I never wanted to have a sloppy orchestra or choir. I wanted to have the very best players. So go for the best people you can find. You've got worthy work, you've got really good people, and now you're going to build relationships with those people. So this is about building and maintaining strong relationships. A mastermind group is a peer-to-peer group which you get together, people not in your business, not in your profession, but people you respect. 4 or 5 people, you get together on a regular basis. Each person has a turn to say, I've got a problem, and you throw it to the group and they help you solve it. It's an accountability group, it's an energy group, it's a knowledge-based group. It's a great group to have. That's another principle that comes from Napoleon Hill's learning, and he teaches about mastermind groups. Your teams, your coach, the forum. Man, this is an informal team that goes and goes and goes. You set the standard. This is your business. Some people say to me, I'm not really comfortable being the leader. Remember, the leader is the person that makes things happen. If it's your vision and you don't make it happen, who will? If you don't execute your dream, somebody else will take that and do it. So these are things we talked about before. So you're setting the standard. You are the person of influence. Your team is going to give you a base of knowledge you don't have yourself. It's going to give you some perspective that you don't have. It's going to give you some encouragement. Believe it or not every day in business is a good day. So having a people who believe in you, who understand where you're going, who can help you is very, very, very important. Principle number 3 is rehearse for success. You have bad meetings, you have bad systems, you're not going to have good results. As a musician, if I let bad things happen in rehearsal, how in the world are we going to have a good performance? So rehearse for success. It's about building effective systems. All your support systems that you build here are ongoing. Your processes for building your teams, running good meetings, your guidelines, you define with your team what it means to be a high-performance team. You develop an agreement, guidelines that say, this is what we believe in. These are your guiding principles for running your company, how you make decisions. And I have not worked with one company in 25 years that hadn't said, communication is a problem. So define ways to communicate with each other. So plan the meeting backwards, plan for results, define your deliverables, make sure that you've defined time for each of your activities, and prepare the resources that you need when you meet together. Do not waste people's time. They will give you the very best. If you say, ahead of time, you send them what you're going to do, send them the information they need to know, you run the meeting efficiently, we're going to brainstorm, we're going to sort ideas, we're going to create an action plan, and we're going to make sure that people understand what they've agreed to do so that when we come back together, we've got it done. You can't run a business without a strategic plan. Now, you invite people into your team because you have a relationship with them. That relationship is replaced by process. It's an open, honest group process that people can talk, open and honestly make decisions together. It builds a different kind of, it builds a trust. In music, we get together as individuals, we become an orchestra, we become a choir. As we work together, we become an ensemble. Your team can be an ensemble that has a relationship one-to-one as a group, not individually. The last one is value the rests. Rests are in music for a very specific reason. There's punctuation in the music. It gives an opportunity to validate what has come before. And I see a lot of mistakes that leaders make in terms of balance. And if you were to write a book about balance, tell us a little bit about balance. Would you come up here? This is Leanne Taylor. And she has envisioned what a book about balance would look like. So tell us give us a highlight of some of the chapters of a book about balance. And you're a leader.
Hey everybody, I'm writing a new book. I'm thinking about calling it Adrenaline as a Way of Life. Or maybe I'll try Time. There'll never be enough of it, so squander what you've got. Here's a sneak peek at my chapter outline. Chapter 1, Emergency. Answer all emails at once. Do not delay. Stop whatever you are doing and answer those babies. Chapter 2, Adrenaline is my motivator. Save tasks that are due today until the last hour. Better yet, the last half hour of your workday, so you will have that added energy boost of adrenaline to help you complete your task. Chapter 3, be a hog. Hog the copier. Put off using office machines until the last possible minute. Never mind if your colleagues need them. Chapter 4, under-prepare for meetings, rehearsals. That way you'll find out what you're really made of. Can you fly by the seat of your pants? Are you great at improvisation? Can you fake it in front of a group? Chapter 5, don't bother planning ahead. Wait until the last minute. Careful planning is overrated. Panic produces lots of energy for a task. It's contagious too. So if you can get other people panicked about a mutual project, just think of all that energy. Chapter 6, don't organize your stuff. That last-minute search for materials provides a great panic push just when you need that extra shot of adrenaline. Chapter 7, run. Don't walk, run. Run to the workroom, to the bathroom, to your car. Run yellow lights. Heck, run red ones. That gets everybody excited. Chapter 8, do one more thing. Do one more thing before you leave. That will ensure being late. Chapter 9, shallow breathing. Be sure to keep your breath short and rapid at all times. Mimic panic in your breathing all the time. Remember, you don't have time to take a deep breath. Chapter 10, run late. Show up at the last minute, or better yet, arrive late. Increase everyone's anxiety level. Chapter 11, yell. I've got a few more chapters. Chapter 11, yell. Yell at everybody when you are running late. If there's no one there, yell at the empty house. Yell at the empty car. Yell at the other cars. Yell under your breath or right out loud at anyone or anything that gets in your way. Chapter 12, fast. Eat in your car. Even better, don't eat at all. Being hungry increases your discomfort level and decreases your functioning level, which will force your adrenaline to kick in and do its magic. When you do eat, gorge on foods that are bad for you. You might be familiar with my chapter. Chapter 13, blame. Blame other people. Blame your life situation. Blame the traffic. Blame the stoplights. Blame your mother. Blame anyone or anything you can think of for anything and everything. Chapter 14, calendar schmalendar. Don't bother double checking your calendar for appointments. Better yet, don't write them down in the first place. If they really need you, they'll call you. I wrote this as a joke during a particularly busy season of my life and shared it at a staff meeting at work as a way of apologizing to my colleagues for my hyper-anxious state of being. And I wish I could say that all of those things were exaggerations, but in fact they were all based on truth. Pretty sad how out of balance my life was at the time. And this fall, I'm about to enter a very busy season once again, and I'm attempting to do things a little differently, like taking time for daily prayer, exercise, good nutrition, and Sabbath rest. I'm determined to do it, to break the habits I wrote about in my so-called book. As I attempt to regain balance in my work schedule, I hope you'll be encouraged to do the same. May God bless us in our journey toward balance in our life and in our work.
Agreed. That's a funny way of looking at some realities. This is my wife. We struggle with balance, and what I said before is it's okay to say as a leader, I don't have it together. And we work on balance in our lives. And all of these things, it's sort of tongue-in-cheek, but it tells me a lesson of I've got to get it together. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Let me sum up here with a couple of points. Rest. It's time for reflection. Really getting perspective is important. And find time that you can rest, that you can come back at this. We work 24 hours a day, we're burned out, we're no good. Your reflection gives you time to get perspective on things. You're doing important work. You're working with important people. You're getting investors. You've got money. The perspective gives you a way to clarify and evaluate how you're doing. When you evaluate, it lets you refine what you're doing. We do our best planning. We get our best teams together. We make our best efforts. It doesn't always go as we plan. John Maxwell writes books on leadership. He taught me at the end of the day, he sits down in his thinking chair, he thinks about his day, makes notes about what he can improve. I did this well, I need to change this. He writes in the same book, same chair, 15 minutes a day. He learns from himself. You refine what you're doing. It inspires your planning. You plan tomorrow's activities today. Define your DVDs for tomorrow. It's one of my secrets to use with my clients. Daily value deliverables. What can you do every day that's valuable, it's related to a goal, and it's results, it's deliverable. If you define 3 DVDs for every day, you plan it today for tomorrow. 3 a day is 15 a week, that's 60 a month. If you did 60 things toward your goal in a month, do you think you'd make progress? That's your planning. Your planning energizes your work. It's trite, plan your work, work your plan. Schedule time for you, put it on your calendar. Schedule time for planning, schedule time for reflecting, schedule time and stick to it. What to do next? Have you thought about writing goals? Be specific about your goals. You could do a goal for the rest of the week. You could do a goal for the rest of the year. You could do a goal between now and the next forum. Write it down, share it. Start now, build your teams, meet with your teams, empower your teams, plan your work, and work your plan. I'm going to be available out in the lobby tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday. I'll be at the expo. If you have any questions about any of these, or if you want to talk to me about your business, here's a way to get the most out of it. You get a time with me, we sit down. Number 1, give me your sentence. This is my business. Number 2, tell me what it's going to be in 3 years or more. I want it to be this. Number 3, give me the gap. What's missing? What do I need to figure out? What are my problems? What are my fears? What are my barriers? I've got all these things that are options at this forum. I don't know what to do next. So if you people make appointments with me and they talk the whole time. Give me a chance to give you some input. What you're doing, what you're doing, what you want it to be, and where's the gap? How can I help you? And it could be about teams. If you got questions about teams, ask me. Here's my principles of leadership. Remember the parable of the sower? The sower, it's in the Bible, it's the Word of God. The sower sows the seed. Some seed falls on rocky ground. Some seed falls among the thorns. It sprouts, but it gets choked out. Some seed falls on fertile ground and it grows. You have an idea. You're sowing the seeds. Some seeds are going to hit on rocks. People are going to say, not interested. Next. Some seeds, people say, oh, I want to do that, I want to do that. And they get home, where were you? You were interested. Some seeds, I'll call you up and say, we talked. I'm really interested in your program. I really want to help you. I'm inspired by what you're doing. Those are the ones you look for, but you've got to sow the seeds. Now, by the way, we were hiking in the mountains, and we were in this rocky area, and we noticed there were some plants growing out of the rocks. Those seeds have been there quite a while. So pay attention to those seeds that you've sown that might come back to you. Pay attention, because you might have sown a seed that's going to mature eventually in time. So be ready to receive. Success is where preparation meets opportunity. My friend Johnny got a rifle for Christmas. He told me it was a rifle, it was a shotgun. He said, he's talking to the guy, he said, I went on a trip, and it was a hunting trip. And he says, I was going to look for quail, and I took my rifle. I said, Johnny, it was a shotgun. He said, no. I couldn't find any quail, so I went across this pasture, and my shoe was untied, so I stooped down to tie my shoe, and I felt this breath behind me. And I picked up my rifle. I said, Johnny, it's a shotgun. He said, I know. And I saw this big bear behind me. So I grabbed my shotgun and I wheeled around and I pointed it right between his eyes. And he was drooling. And so I cocked one barrel and I pulled the trigger. And I heard this loudest click I've ever heard. And the bear is drooling. So I cocked the other barrel and I pulled the other trigger. Click. It's the second loudest click I've ever heard. So I threw the rifle at the bear. I said, Johnny, it's a shotgun, I know. Threw the rifle and I ran across the pasture because I could see there was a tree across there. I was a track star in high school, you know. So I ran and I could feel the bear coming behind me. And I ran so fast and I could feel the bear was gaining on me. And oh man, my adrenaline was going. I was running so fast because I was a star in track school, you know, and I saw this tree. It had a limb. It was about 20 feet in the air. So I ran fast and I jumped for that limb. So we're sitting around and say, well, what happened? I missed, but I caught it on the way back down. That's the kind of enthusiasm you want. You want to overshoot your goal. So are you going to build a team this week? Yes. When are you going to do it? Well, let's go. I'll see you.